Once upon a time, I was a J. Cole fan. When I say fan, I mean I was a supporter. He made music that I felt told my story and related to aspects of my life. For anybody who knows the content I make or knows anything about me, you know I usually don't talk about pop culture. I don't talk about celebrities and gossip and things that drive interest on YouTube. And this video is no different. It's not a album review. It's not me looking into the trends on what people are talking about and deciding to make a video because the timing is right. It's because I saw something that made me think and kind of annoyed me, and so now I'm here. That fits with the name of this series. It's called Rants for a reason. Some of y'all know, may not know, that I used to be a rapper. That's how all of this started. I was a hip hop artist, and I actually started as a poet, then spoken word, then rap, and did that for 10 years. That was my sole pursuit. I can understand the passion and the drive that it took to go from where Cole started to where Cole is now, which is essentially on top of the rap game for all intents and purposes. And I'll put this out front. Of course, I haven't achieved the level of financial success and commercial success, global renown that J. Cole has accomplished in his career. I'm not pretending that that's the case. However, I have had a journey of my own from pursuing rap really aggressively and trying to make something out of this passion that I had and these skills that I amassed for myself, the things I taught myself to achieve some kind of self fulfillment, and then actually making a dream come true. Maybe not the biggest dream of all time, and maybe not at the scale that even some of my peers have accomplished, but I made a dream come true and I'm doing it in real time. It's a crazy position to be in, to be sharing ideas from, but it's real. It's here. Like, I made it. And I say I made it because this false attachment we have to the destination, to the goal always being a bigger number, is unhealthy and false. It doesn't mean you've achieved your dream even more when you reach bigger numbers. The dream is the journey, right? I say all that to say this video doesn't exist to give y'all a rating or a score for an album. First off, I think giving ratings and scores to albums defeats the purpose of art. Putting a number on something that took somebody years to make, something that is for very different pockets of people for very different reasons, I think that's anti intellectual. I think it's anti art. And I think my peers, the YouTubers who have made review videos the day of the release, the day after the release, I think they're riding the wave of the trends and the algorithm, trying to feed their families. Hey, this is not a direct shot at them, but it is a critique of them. I think it's counterproductive for us to take artistic endeavors and boil them down to, oh, this was mid, or this was legendary as soon as it releases, or this was trash as soon as it releases. I think that's a really trash place to operate from when it comes to critiquing music. And bigger than that, I know why this is J. Cole's last album. I often find myself staring out the window in between edits for YouTube videos in a dark place, just thinking like, is this all my life is? Just video after video after video. We think of creative endeavors as escaping the rat race. But Cole told you himself on this album that getting out of his last record deal was slavery. He put it in those exact words. And we all know how bad record deals are, but the rinse and repeat of having to pour your soul out into something, having to do research in my case, having to take that research and wrap it in a presentation, wrap your soul and your thoughts and your emotions into something that then gets packaged up and presented to the public like a product that they can tear apart when they don't know anything about you. They don't know what you've done to prepare for this. They don't know what this was intended for, who this was intended for. They're purposely, in some cases, looking past the message itself to compare it to thousands of other either albums or other videos about the same topic. It's exhausting having to create things and then be like, okay, what I just made no longer belongs to me. It belongs to the world. They get to tear it apart. They get to critique it fairly, unfairly. It doesn't matter. I have to stop engaging with that and I have to move on. I've always been of the opinion that everything, absolutely everything, needs to have an ending. Great TV shows, great movies. Some movies don't need a sequel at all. And every movie series needs to know when to end, when the story they're telling either starts to lose, well, before it loses integrity, but definitely when the writers have nothing left to say that they feel is impactful or important. Not every story has to be important. I watch just as many vapid YouTube videos about nothing as y'all do, but ultimately, even a series like Fast and Furious, right, which seems like it'll never end, has to have an ending. Otherwise, the quality starts to dip. For them, it dipped a long time ago. They're inventing siblings of the main characters that we never heard of before and pulling characters out of their ass that never existed in their world. As soon as a series starts to do that, it shouldn't have existed to reach that point in the first place. It's all money. And coming back to the YouTube reviews of this album, it's money. YouTubers need to make money. So they notice what's being talked about. They plan these videos around dates like the Super Bowl, which is going to happen the day after I recorded this, maybe the day after I release it. I don't know. We watch those trends and we have to choose when we're going to release something to maximize the audience for it. So the thing about all these reviews of Cole's album that dropped the day it released to the day after it released, etc., they're inherently missing something. I would argue that it's not possible to create a qualitative review of an album with 24 songs the day it releases. It is not possible. So if you're releasing a video with the title, "This album is mid," or "This album is great," or anything in between, we know what you're here for. We know what you're doing. We can see through it. And you didn't give enough respect to this body of work that this person has worked for years on to at least let it marinate, at least replay some tracks, at least dive into the things you loved, at least sit with the things you thought you disliked or thought you hated and find the merit in it. Because that's, to me, the most beautiful part of music. I love going back to a track. Like, I can call one out on Usher's most recent album. He has this track called "One of Them Ones," which is a fantastic R&B song, but when I first heard it, I just wasn't in the place to appreciate it, so I kind of just bypassed it and focused on other tracks. I didn't think the album was my cup of tea in general, but that track has become my absolute favorite, but it took multiple listens. And that's just true for everybody. I don't care who you are. It takes multiple listens to assess your holistic opinion on something. I'm not saying you can't hate a song immediately. That happens to me all the time. And I'm sure you know your taste by now if you're in your 30s or even in your 20s. But what you can't do is listen to 24 songs the day it releases, when some of these songs are 5-6 minutes. They're all pretty long songs. And actually walk away from it thinking, yeah, I got a feel for what this is, and I can then make a video critiquing it negatively and broadcast that to the world with your relatively large audience. I think it's deeply irresponsible. I think it's cheap, and it cheapens the artistic pursuit that we're all on to make beautiful things that stand the test of time. I'm not here to tell you that The Fall Off is a great product. What I am here to tell you is that there's several tracks that spoke to me deeply. And the thing about making art is, if there's one thing you make in 24 songs, 48 songs, I don't care if it's a Chris Brown album, if you make one song in a body of work. I don't care how long that body of work is. And that song reaches somebody in a deep place and touches their emotions and makes them think about things that they didn't consider, gives them something from hip hop, from the pursuit that you're in, from video making on YouTube that they don't get anywhere else. Something that they find valuable. If it's only one track, if it's only one video in my collection of the dozens I've made since I've started making video essays, that is worthwhile in and of itself. And again, me saying that, that's my opinion, right? But opinions are what drive this. This is all subjective. And so, what I'm trying to say is the impact that that one track can have on a person is unbelievable. Cole told a story about being in Atlanta, bumping T.I., and being so lost in it that he didn't notice that he ran out of gas and he had to pull over to a gas station. Whether this story happened or not is kind of immaterial, but it's deeply relatable, right? Because he's famous. He's famous on a level that I will most likely never be, but I am also, to a much more limited degree, well known, to the point where I was riding the train in DC and someone recognized me. And that was the core of his story. Someone recognized him at the gas station who at first was just trying to holler at him to like sell some weed, but then they were like, oh shit, that's J. Cole. And of course, that person lit up, right? They got super excited that an artist that they're a huge fan of was right in front of them. And they got super hype and talked about all the things that his music has brought them, the difference that he's made in their lives. And Cole got hype on the track audibly. He started rapping like Pastor Troy in the last verse, talking about it's the difference you make that matters, not the accolades and the fanfare and the fame and being recognized. All that normalizes over time. It's normalized for me. When you're climbing that mountain, becoming well known is the goal. It's in and of itself. It has value in and of itself. When you're young, you just want people to recognize you. You want to be famous. That itself has a value, right? And then when you start achieving it, when you get to the point that he's gotten to where almost everybody recognizes him, or the point I've gotten to where every now and then someone recognizes me in public, it becomes your new normal, right? And there's good sides to that and there's downsides to that. The downside that he described is how you're paranoid and you feel like a sitting duck when you're outside. It's legitimately dangerous for someone like him to be outside. And with the direction I've been going with pissing off cults and talking about scammers and people with fake degrees, it's starting to become less advisable for me to be outside in certain circumstances as well. That all being said, that story really hit me deeply. It impacted me because I could relate to it. I could understand what he was talking about. I can understand as well the fact that you focus so hard on the negativity when there's so much chatter about you on the internet that the positivity is sometimes overlooked. Sometimes you minimize it mentally. You don't really lock in on it the way you should. Because look, it's unhealthy to focus on the negativity too hard. It's also unhealthy to focus on the positivity too hard and blow your head up. But you do need to remember that the majority of the feedback is positive and that there's a lot of love for you out there. And he got so excited and so gratified that that person at that gas station was hyping him up and was deeply grateful for everything he had ever made that spoke to him and gave him value in his life. That one song, if that's the only song that hits you on that whole album, that's fine. Call it mid, whatever you want to do. But I think, in my opinion, that is an achievement in and of itself. That you made one thing that spoke to somebody's soul, that gave them a feeling of purpose, that gave them inspiration. When I listened to J. Cole's album, I heard him picking up Eminem's flow in one track, rapping like Pac and Big on one track, telling deep stories like that one at the gas station on one track, and really locking into what it means to end a career in rap. He's ending his career because there is nothing left for him to do. There's nothing left to achieve. There's no skill to unlock. There's no destination that he hasn't already been to, that he hasn't already achieved. He's been on how many world tours? And again, coming back to the core point that I was making earlier. It's not about the accolades and the tours and all that. It's a part of it. But once you no longer have something to say, once you no longer have anything that you feel like you need to strive for and value that you can give back to your listeners, your viewers, whatever, you need to end. There needs to be an end. There will be an end to my time on YouTube. And hopefully, I brought more value than I extracted in my process of doing this, of being here. In the video for the Fall Off, the big promotional video that he released first, the first thing you see on the wall is Jermaine was here. And I think that sums up the point beautifully. Your only job in any artistic endeavor is to make sure that long after you're gone, that you have even a chance of being remembered. We're all here for an extremely short period of time, and I can promise you that after Jermaine Cole's death, people will remember the work he has left behind. That's my pursuit with everything I've done to expose financial scams and exploitation and provide resources to help people avoid those things in the first place. And so hopefully long after I leave YouTube and I'm dead and gone, people find value. Cam James was here. And I think in J. Cole's case, he quit because it was time. It's time to walk away. It's time to do something else. It's time to enjoy his family. It's time to be a human being. We get so lost in the creative endeavor of just creating constantly. Like that next thing is going to be the thing that unlocks our real purpose, right? But there's always another thing. There's always another video for me to make. There's always another album for him to make. And that gets tiring. There has to be an exit. You have to end. And I fell off of being a fan several times over the course of J. Cole's career. I thought some of his references to certain communities were insulting. I thought that his lyricism was immature at times. I thought he was short-sighted in a lot of the things he made and said, etc. But he's a human being. That happens to all of us. It happened to me too. One thing I thought that was really encouraging, despite all the insulting references to the gay community in one of the tracks on this album, speaking as his younger self, mind you, he stopped short of using a slur that he had actually used earlier in his career because he knows better. I'm not saying he's become some paragon and ally to the queer community all of a sudden. He's still a deeply flawed human being. But I think that growth symbolizes everything I'm trying to say here. There will always be ratings and critiques of major albums because it makes money to talk about other people's work, especially when other people are that well known and that renowned. But Jermaine was here, and I appreciate him for what he is, flaws and all. I'm not here to say the Fall Off is great, but it deserves to exist to me. You deserve to exist too. Everything you make doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't need to clear social media's barometer of what's mid and what's great and what has no skips. Like, just make art, man. Make something that you think can impact people and make their lives a little bit better. So at the end of the day, that's all we have. Y'all stay healthy.